You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to the Living Full Out Show. My name is Nancy Solari, and today we're going to be talking about when we get frustrated in life. We've all been there, right? It could be running late to a meeting. It could be that when the car won't start, when people say they're going to be there and they're not, they're running late. There's so many things that can throw us off our course. But how do we stay focused? How do we stay positive and not let these burdens or all these stresses pull us down? Well, our inspirational guest coming in our next segment, Janine Hoff, is a perfect example of how she had to live full out despite having a mental disorder and OCD and just depression and a whole array of different stresses in her life that caused her to have this big dark cloud over her. How did she move that cloud aside and be able to step into thriving and going after life? So we're going to learn from her. Also, we're going to be taking your calls. Again, that number is 800-333-0001, and I'll be standing by to give you some coaching there if you need that. Also, we want to hear from you. If you need support on today's topic, feel free to reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com. That's also the same email that you can do if you have a inspirational story that you'd like to share with our audience. That's what this community is all about. We support each other. We come to the show with our challenges, our problems, but also our insights and the lessons we've learned. So if you have a story you'd like to share with our audience, just reach out to us at connect@livingfullout.com and let us know what you've overcome and how you're living full out today. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we do have a caller on the line. I'm going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering, I'm a bit of a slob, and I was wondering how I could unclutter the space around me.
You know what? Let me ask you a question. Sometimes the slobs are okay with being a slob. Like, we just kind of get busy, right? We kind of put things here or lay them down there. But it's really the other people that bring it to your awareness. Are you starting to find that more and more people are calling you out?
Yeah, a lot of my friends.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm. And so when they say that, how does that make you feel?
A little self-conscious at times because I don't notice it.
Mm-hmm. And isn't it interesting how, I can tell right now, like, you're a really good person. I bet to so many friends, you're like one of their best, that you're like their go-to, right? And so we don't. No, I mean that. I mean, you got a great, charming vibe about you, but you don't want something like being a slob to be a reason why someone doesn't want to be your roommate, doesn't want to date you, doesn't want to hire you. Do you see what I'm saying? So in some ways, there's the things we do when we're alone, like maybe when you're in the bathroom by yourself, clutter it up to as much as you want, right? Leave the towel on the floor, and then clean it up and nobody knows, right? But then there's the times where people do see our clutter. They do see our mess. And that's what you want to strive to clean up. And especially things like the car, where somebody might be getting into your car and it's a shared space. You want them to feel invited. You want them to feel like it's clean and it's a positive environment. Or when they come to your place, whether it be your living room, your bedroom, whatever that is, you want it to be an experience, not a, oh my gosh, I can't go in there, or I'm dreading it, or let's go anywhere but your place. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the good news is, you want to know what the good news is? The good news is It's absolutely controllable. 100%. And
how do I begin to do that?
Yeah. Well, let's pick one place at a time. So what is the one environment that people call you out the most on?
Probably my dorm room.
Okay, so let's start there. Okay? So I want you to first of all clean it. Go ahead and get some of that, Windex, get some of that 409, get a towel, and just really clean it, okay? Then from there, I want you to make it inviting. It might mean that you go to a TJ Maxx or a Home Goods or, whatever store and buy throw pillows, get some lighting, get some potpourri, get some candles that smell good. Clean first, then make it inviting. And then I want you to bring people over. And I want you to let them experience this new you. Now, when they're not with you, you can do whatever you want, right? Unless that dorm room is a shared space with another person, because now you do have to keep yourself on that clean course, because now you've set a new bar. Not to please other people, but it's a new bar for yourself. You're evolving, you're growing, you're maturing. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do.
But the good thing is it can absolutely be done, and I will be looking out for my invitation in the mail. I can't wait to come over and see what you create. But honestly, have fun with it, okay? Because again, that being a slob, being messy, that's just not you. Actually, it may have been a label that you had at one time. It may have been how people defined you at one time. But you know what? There's a new sheriff in town, right? She's got a new chapter that she's writing. So just start there and be positive. Okay?
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a great day. Thank you for calling in. I'm super glad that she asked that question, right? Because I don't know, but I don't think anybody gets through life without being a slob from time to time. I mean, it's a really honest question, and I can see why people in her life were frustrated because they want the best for her. And sometimes we have to call people out so that we can rise them to a higher level. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we have another caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to Living Full Out Show.
Hello.
Hi, thank you. Hi, how can I help you?
My question is, how do I overcome procrastination to achieve my goals?
Wow. Again, I think we've all been there, right? So what are you procrastinating on the most?
Mostly procrastinating on, I would say, my career goals, like taking steps to actually get in a place where I can get a job and move forward.
And so are you starting to see other people move ahead of you? They're just a little bit more focused?
Yes.
And so when you see that, how does that make you feel? To know that you could be doing more, but others are kind of moving a little faster.
Kind of feel like I'm not doing enough and I'm not where I should be. At least I compare myself like that.
And the reason why I wanted to hear you say that statement, and I so encourage you to go back and listen to today's show again. It'll be on our website, livingfullout.com, after today. Because the words that we say to ourselves is really important. And I asked you what you feel and what you said to yourself, and you said not twice. And it was a very negative statement. And so if you have that running through your mind as your dialogue, maybe others don't see it because maybe to the public you're very positive and very happy and very outgoing. But if that is the dialogue that you're having in your mind, that's going to hold you back, right? That competition. But what you want to realize is that you're an original. You may have the same major as other people. You may wear similar clothes as some of your friends, but you know what? There's only one you. And when you go to apply for a job, yes, everybody might have similar resumes, but again, there's only one you. Nobody's going to have exactly the same mixture of experience, personality, education. So you don't want to get lazy, you don't want to procrastinate, you don't want to do any of that, but you want to say, I have something special. I have something completely unique, and I need to share this gift. And the only way that you do that is to put yourself out there. So it isn't about competing with other people. And actually, others aren't moving past you because they have their own unique journey. It's just your journey. Do you see that?
Yeah.
So what I want you to do today, if you could for me, is I want you to write down 3 things that make you unique, that make you special. Let's kick off one. What would you say? What's the first thing? What's one strength or unique attribute to you that you're proud of?
One thing I'm proud of is how I can make people laugh.
Okay, so start there. Just start there. We got number 1. You can make people laugh. Now your homework is to do number 2 and number 3. And let that be your lead today in putting yourself in a positive state. Okay? But thank you so much for calling in. And for everybody listening, just like this caller, it's all about getting out of being frustrated and stepping into being empowered and knowing that our destiny, it is in our hands. That competition really doesn't exist. It's about finding out what makes us unique, what makes us special, and letting that be your lead. That's how you live full out. Stay with us. We'll be coming right back after this break. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. We'll be right back.
Hi, professional skateboarder Tony Hawk here with Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck to remind you to get moving every day.
Because when you get moving an hour a day,
you'll have the energy to skate through anything.
Nice play on words, Doc.
That's how I roll, Bugs. So whether you like to work the half pipe,
now that's catching air,
kick the soccer ball around, or dance in your room,
just move it your way.
For an hour a day.
The way you like to move, as long as you're moving.
Carve out some time every day and get active. Because it's time to do a 180 on what you think exercise is.
Because it can be whatever you want it to be. So be a player.
Be a player.
Get up and play an hour a day, Doc. Check out how to be a player at letsmove.gov.
Head online to get tips on great ways to get moving every day.
At www.letsmove.gov. Let's hear that one more time, Doc. That's www.letsmove.gov. A message from the Ad Council and HHS.
Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. At 6 I make his breakfast. Every day I wake up at 5 to give Dad his medicine. At 6 I make his breakfast. At 7 I shower. Every day I wake up
For
at
those 5. Caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community to help us better care for ourselves and the ones we love. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
I'm Sarah, and this is my story.
I'm Ellen, and this is my story.
One night, I was at a bar. I was having fun with my friends.
I
had one too many drinks.
I
got behind the wheel to go home.
I got a cab to go home.
All of a sudden, from out of nowhere, a squirrel ran across the road.
It
happened so quickly, I barely had time to react.
The cabbie barely had time to react.
I swerved.
The cab swerved.
I can't believe it. I hit a guy.
I cannot believe it. The cabbie just missed a guy.
I wish I took a cab.
Thank goodness I took a cab.
You have the choice to save a life. Don't drive buzzed. It's a decision you'll never regret. Buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the Department of Transportation and the Ad Council.
Hey, America, we need to have a little talk. We've got more food than we know what to do with in this country, yet 17 million kids in America are struggling with hunger. Makes no sense. Luckily, the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks has volunteers gathering excess food and getting it to hungry kids. They're kind of like food angels. Hey, become a food angel yourself by supporting Feeding America in your local food bank at feedingamerica.org. We can't do it without your help. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
If you think depression is all in a person's head, you're right. It's a brain illness. And like other illnesses, it has symptoms. Depression can make those who suffer from it feel hopeless. It can even lead to suicide. Learn how to stop depression from taking another life. Call SAVE, Suicide Awareness Voices of Education, 1-888-511-SAVE, on the web at save.org.
I'm Alec Baldwin. Like any parent, I'm concerned about children's health. Many kids don't eat as they should and are at risk for long-term health problems like diabetes and heart disease. But here's good news. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and other low-fat vegetarian foods can protect our kids and keep the rest of the family healthy too. For a free booklet, call the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine at 1-877-685-KIDS or visit www.kidsgethealthy.org.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. With Nancy's expertise, you'll learn how to embrace your potential and strive for success. If you have a question or need further support, send us an email at connect@livingfullout.com. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello and welcome to the Living Full Out Show. I am Nancy Solari, and today we're talking about when we get frustrated in life and just feels like the to-do list never ends. It feels like we're running in circles trying to achieve our goal and dream, and it's not working out. And sometimes it's the unexpected, the tire that pops on your way to work, right? It's the pen that won't work. It's just that one small thing that can just set us off. Well, sometimes it feels like this dark cloud over us, and it's hard to figure out, what is this? Why am I feeling this way? And these little things like that pen that won't work become something much larger. And our inspirational guest today, Janine Hoff, she has experienced different mental health disorders over the years, and she's really had a journey to find treatments and answers. And I brought her here today because, again, to some of us it feels like a dark cloud and this long day of dread that won't end. And she relates to that. I have been there as well. And we want to make sure today that you get the support that you need so that you truly can live full out. So I'd like to welcome Janine to the show.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, I am great. So nice to have you. And, talking to you today, you have this sparkle in your voice. You're upbeat, you're happy. But I know that you have been on those less happy days. You have been on the days where you could barely brush your teeth. And I want to take our audience back to certain moments in your life where you kind of had this off feeling, where you weren't being able to live your best life. Now, I know that it was really in your early years that you started to realize that you had a positive of organizational skills, but also you suffered from a bit of OCD. Can you share with our audience what OCD is and how it related to you?
Yeah, it's funny because I have to go back in time. This is a 20-plus year process at this point for me. And so when I think back to maybe, I noticed it around college, I would say. I had to be very, very organized and strategically organized. And, in college, everyone has to be organized. Otherwise, it just makes things impossible. But for me, it was, I would say, a little bit extreme, to the point that I was, really a neat freak or organizational freak, according to, people I was surrounded by. Like, for example, my books on a shelf had to be in size order. And to the point that it was so noticeable to others that, friends would tease me and they'd move a book out of place and put it in the wrong place. And immediately I would see that and I would have such a sense of panic. And so I had to correct it automatically. Just because my brain couldn't process it. And so,
well, and I think that's interesting, Janine, because I think sometimes in life, and we just had a caller earlier today that experienced something similar. It's it's kind of funny until it's not. And for you, it actually did cause you a lot of anxiety. And
I don't think I had the words at the time to understand what I was feeling.
What were some of your coping skills back then?
I just had to be very, very strategic. So even things like Post-it notes, and I'm going back to the 90s, the early 90s. My Post-it notes had to be categorized in color order. And if I would move one around, it would throw everything off. And I just didn't understand what it was. But I was like, okay, I have to be super organized, and that's how I function. And so it wasn't until a few years later, I think I was a young adult, I was working at that point, where I had first heard of OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And it became like a big joke to people reading about this new diagnosis, or it wasn't new. It was just more talked about in the media in the mid-90s. Like, some people aren't just organized, they have OCD. And it became the germ disorder to people, because they're like, people with OCD have to wash their hands. And as I read through these articles and did a little bit of research in the early infancy of the internet, I was like, wait a minute, I understand this. I relate to this. Like, I can't function I can't sleep if things aren't in a proper order. If I know my closet isn't in color order, it doesn't allow me to sleep. I will be up all night. Those kinds of things.
Now, it's interesting because, so here you are, you're starting to get this awareness of natural skills and traits that you have, OCD behaviors, but now you're starting to put kind of a name with it and identifying with it. But that was kind of manageable. Like, it may have driven you crazy in some ways, the anxiety of needing to get those Post-it notes all in the right order.
It may have driven other people crazy.
Oh, okay. But now the interesting thing is, fast forward, you ended up getting married, had a great wedding, and all the stress of that melted away. But when you ended up having your children, you then fell into an actual depression. Now, how is going into kind of that dark cloud, depression, how is that different than the OCD?
So OCD, you have the obsessions and then you have the compulsions. The compulsions are what you do to manage the obsessions, whatever your obsessions are. Some people do have the germ obsession that they fear getting sick, so they have their compulsions, which could be washing their hands, not touching knobs, those kinds of things. Some people have the obsession of, fear of their house burning down. So they constantly check light switches, and they will check over and over the stove 100 times to make sure that the stove is off. And once you have the compulsions in order that manage the obsessions, you can kind of, for most people with OCD, can function to some extent. That's not to say everyone with OCD can function. Some people don't even leave the house because of it. But depression was very, very different. It was almost as if there was no soul left in you. And it's interesting for me to look back on it now, having, recovered and having been through that process and gotten treatment and all of it, because when you're in it, no matter what people tell you, no matter what advice they give, professionals, people who have been through it, you never can see yourself really getting better. You think this is how I'm going to live for the rest of my life. And it's debilitating. I mean, it's debilitating to the point that there's no joy. Food, I remember so vividly, did not have taste. It almost tasted like ash, like ashes. Like, it didn't matter what if I ate a piece of watermelon or potato chips or chocolate cake, it had no flavor. There was also no desire to eat for me. Some people eat a lot when they're depressed. I couldn't even put food in my mouth because it was the feeling of it was nauseating.
So when you're depressed, you have this darkness around you. There's really no light at the end of the tunnel, that you can't see the light. I want to stay right here, Janine, because we have to go to a break. But I really appreciate, and I want everybody to understand, she's lived this, and we've all had layers of that. We might not be, to the extreme, but I want you to look in your life where you identify with these feelings that she has, because in our next segment, she's going to share with us her journey of how she got to the light, how she got some answers, and was able to jump back into living a life full out. So stay with us. I am Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. It is about not being frustrated anymore and taking control of our life so we can live a full, abundant life. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari.
There are many sounds in your day-to-day life. There are sounds that wake you up. Sounds that make you smile. Sounds that energize you. And sounds that help you relax. But there are some sounds that can alert you to danger and can help save lives. Wireless emergency alerts, now on many mobile devices, use a unique sound and vibration to bring you information about severe weather events, Amber Alerts, or other emergencies in your area. With critical information from local sources you know and trust, you can be in the know, wherever you are. For more information, visit ready.gov/alerts. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey, but people in this town call me Maniac. They call me that because I'm the fastest runner in town. But just because everyone knows who I am doesn't mean I belong. I don't really belong anywhere. You see, I'm an orphan, and I wander the streets just looking for a place that I can truly call home. My name is Maniac McGee, and I'm all alone. Explore new worlds. Read my story in the novel Maniac McGee by Jerry Spinelli. For other great book ideas, visit your local library or log on to literacy.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
Look for the bare necessities.
The bare necessities of healthy living are easier than you think.
You better believe it.
And the food pyramid shows you the way. With just the right amount of exercise and the necessary grains, vegetables, fruits, milk, and meats and beans.
Just the bare necessities of life.
So eat right, be active, and have fun.
Yeah, man.
For your own path to a healthier you, visit mypyramid.gov.
This is really living.
This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Agriculture and the Ad Council.
Hi, my name is Nancy Solari, host of the Living Full Out Show. I am excited to let you know that we are now associated with Alexa. If you have Alexa in your house and you didn't know that, go ahead and find Living Full Out because you can hear us anytime you want, and we're there for you to keep you motivated. Go to your app store because we're located there as well. Just look for the Living Full Out radio show. It's important to us that we put out really inspiring programming, but we want to make sure that you have it at your fingertips when you need us most. We never know when those challenges are going to come, when we're going to feel lonely and need that motivation. So just know that when you need us, we're here for you. Check out Alexa, the app stores, or go to livingfullout.com. Here's to you living full out.
What if I could tell you that a full-blown wildfire was going to occur tomorrow right where you live? Tell you exactly which neighborhoods it would engulf and how fast it would do it. The first thing you would do is talk with your loved ones and make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a wildfire will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you make a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait, communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. As a life coach, Nancy can teach you how to stay strong under pressure and work through challenges you face. Being legally blind, Nancy inspires others to be resilient in overcoming obstacles and live full out. You can ask Nancy for advice in your life on relationships, finance, business, health, and more. Just call in at 800-333-0001. Once again, that's 800-333-0001. Now, here's Nancy.
Hello, and I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show, and today we're talking about being frustrated in life and just how do we get out of that place where we feel stuck, where we feel depressed, we're worried and anxious that, the future is dim. How do we get to that other side, the place where everybody is so happy? How do we become that? Well, I have brought you an inspirational guest today who has been through it. Janine Hoff, she's experienced OCD. She's experienced the heaviness of depression. And now she's going to share with us how that can even snowball and become more epic, become even more severe. So I'd like to welcome Janine back to the show.
Hi.
Hi. So I know in our last segment, we talked about, growing up with those OCD behaviors, hitting a pocket of time where you kind of fell into this depression that you just couldn't explain it. But as you were going along in your life and you were quote, quote, kind of looking good to the world. It was internally where you had these battles going on. And, really your husband and your kids, I mean, they saw the stress that you were under, but the public perhaps didn't know about it. And like so many of us, we just keep going. We're like warriors, right? We kind of package it away and we think it's going to get better, or it's just, a fluke, or it's just a period of time. But for you, it really did hit an epic point when you were working 70 hours a week, just going, raising your 3 boys, trying to be the best wife you could be. And then you hit a breaking point where you almost took your life. Can you share with us that moment in time for you?
Yeah, it's interesting because when I talk about depression, it's important to understand that it's like a spectrum disorder in the sense that there are varying degrees of depression. So some people may have mild depression and they can kind of function, and some people have moderate depression, and some days they have, okay days, and some days it's just awful. And for me, I developed severe depression, probably the most severe form of it. But it wasn't like someone turned off a switch. It was so gradual that I didn't even realize I was in it until I had been in it for weeks, maybe even months. And like you said, we have that warrior mentality where we are trained almost, to, especially as women, I think, we're trained to work hard and take care of our family and take care of our spouse, take care of our home, and to keep going, and not really stop and take a step back and reflect or look at it from an outsider's point of view. And so that's where I was. I thought, working all these hours, I was doing the best job I could for my family because I was bringing home, an income and helping support my household and doing what's best for them. And I had, like you said, I have 3 sons, and at that time they were 6 weeks and 2 years and 5 years. So Wow. They were really little. And so, I worked for several years at that capacity, going all those hours with the children. I had also been doing my master's at that time. I was finishing my master's. And so all of that kind of snowballed, but I didn't realize it. I know that, the day came where the snowball stopped because, fate took a hand and your job kind of came to an ending point. But then this identity, this go person had lost her compass and you found yourself on a bridge. Into a wall. It was really it was like being in a car driving 100 miles an hour for years, and then all of a sudden someone just builds a giant brick wall in front of you and you slam into it. And that's how I felt. I was so lost, and to go full throttle for so long and then have, just stop. It was not healthy, and it was really disturbing, and I had to go into a hospital because it was the only option for me at that point. It was
now you actually were going to jump off a bridge. That was your goal. But thankfully, passerbyers, people stopped you, and you were able to not do that.
Talk to me, strangers, police officers, and I was able to go to a hospital because and it's fascinating to think back to where I was at that point, because I often get asked this, why would you consider that given that you had children and you have a husband and all of those things? But to me, I was so unwell that I felt I was doing them a disservice by being always so on edge and crying and non-functioning. I mean, like you said earlier, I couldn't even brush my teeth. I couldn't shower. I couldn't get out of bed. I would eat for days. I lost so much weight. And it was going into the hospital and seeing other people like me that made something click in my brain and said, you know what? Yeah.
Here's something I want to ask you, okay? Because the thing is over the course of your whole journey, way back, early years of OCD, up until this breaking point where you were hospitalized, you had seen psychiatrists, psychologists, you had done Reiki, you had done all these therapies. What was it about this time, actually being hospitalized, that was the game changer for you?
For me, it was really identifying with people who knew and understood how I felt. And it wasn't coming at me from a professional perspective. People often, question, am I anti-psychiatry? Am I anti-therapy? No, I'm actually not. But for me, in my own experience, I knew that finding professional care was very limited. I knew that trying to find a therapist, it was weeks to months where there was no availability, or they wouldn't accept insurance, or they weren't taking new clients. So finding quality help was challenging in and of itself. And so being in a hospital, there were people who were just like me, who were struggling exactly the same way. And I had never encountered anyone like that because I had never talked to anyone about it other than my spouse or a professional. It's not like I was going and talking to friends and having conversations. I would say little things like, oh, I'm having a hard time or a rough time. And, friends, look, they mean well, but they're not professionals. They're not, peers with lived experience. So, they want to help, but they don't really have the tools there to provide sufficient help. And so they're like, oh, let's just go for lunch or let's go shopping. Those kinds of things.
What I'm wondering, Janine, though, is because if somebody is listening today and they know that somewhere in that spectrum they fall, they're depressed, they have OCD, they have something, there's this stigma, right? There's this, I don't want to admit it, feeling going on. But if we admit it, if we just own it and we can get to the other side, we can get treatment. But it takes a long time to get to that place where you can actually admit it. So for people listening today, how can they get to that place?
It's a lot of having to look internally and saying, either I get help or, the worst can happen. And look, for some people, they never want to admit it to the public. And I was one of those people. I could never really open up and even say to my family or friends or whomever, I'm struggling. It was so hard because we are taught, you have to be resilient and you have to forge through and be a warrior and all of those things. And admitting it would be admitting weakness, or at least that's what I believe.
Yeah. No, and I get that. Yeah, I get that. And I'm also curious, because you've lived this world. We live in a more of a PC, politically correct world now. I mean, how should we refer to mental disorders, mental illness, mental health? There's so many buzzwords, but being someone who's lived with it, what is a respectful way to discuss it, to label it, to talk about it?
I prefer to use the words mental health disorders or mental health challenges. And the reason why I prefer this is because when I hear the term mental illness, it makes me think of sickness. It makes me think of not getting well, that you're stuck in that illness forever. And for some people, a very small percentage, they can be, stuck in their illness. Some people who have psychosis may end up with psychosis for long term, for life. But for a big percentage of people, they can recover. They can get the tools that when they become depressed again or start experiencing anxiety, that they can go and get support. They have the tools to cope. They have the tools to manage it. And that's how I like to look at it. It's a disorder. It doesn't own me. It's not my one defining characteristic. It's something that's a part of me. For example, I'm short, I'm 5 feet tall, but it doesn't define who I am. I'm still outgoing, and I am, I have the personality of someone that's 7'2".
I was going to say, you sound like a giant. Are you kidding me? Well, Janine, I want to thank you for being on the show today. I mean, Matt, it went so fast, but thank you for opening our eyes, our hearts, to learning more about this journey that you went through and how we can just be better supporters to others going through it as well. So thank you so much for being on today's show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And we'll wish you the best. And for everybody listening, Janine was sharing with us, her walk, her journey, and how she found support. And sometimes we have to look at ourselves and admit, what's not working. I mean, even in my own life, being legally blind, I eventually had to admit, I'm going blind. And I remember for so long, I didn't want to say those words. It's like if I used my white cane or if I said the word blind, that it meant something scary, that it meant something like a label. But the thing is, it's just who we are. It doesn't define us, just like Janine was saying. And so I want you to look at your life today, and I want you to find something that you can admit to yourself. You might say, okay, I'm going to admit I need to lose 20 pounds. Okay, I'm going to admit I need a haircut. I'm going to admit whatever it is. It can be lighthearted or severe. The minute you say it out loud, the minute you own that, you actually give it less power. You set it free. And so that's what we want to do today so that you can live your life full out. Now, we're talking today about letting go of frustrations in our life. So we're going to be taking your calls. Again, that number is 800-333-0001. Stay with us. It is all about stepping into living a life full out, telling those frustrations they don't have a place in your life. Get out of my mind, get out of my heart so that you can be free to really live your best life. So stay with us. We'll be coming right back. I'm Nancy Solari. This is the Living Full Out Show. Stay tuned.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
So, Jacqueline.
Yes, Mom?
I wanted to talk to you about something, and... Oh, wait. Hold on. I just got a text.
Oh, wait, Mom. I just got a message. So many comments on my comment. Hey, guys, check out my new video game.
Mom, what?
Huh? What'd you say?
This weekend, unplug. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Thanks for asking, but I'd rather not send you nude pictures. I'm camera shy. I already said no. It's against my religion. I'm giving my dog a bath. You can have pictures of that. Pressure gives me hives. Under my clothes, I'm a robot. Hold on, let me ask my mom. Sorry, my webcam is broken. I'm worried they'll get passed around school. Unfortunately, I just had my clothes surgically attached to my body. If they got out, I might never be president. I'm already naked, under my clothes. Not even if you were all three Jonas Brothers. I have a rash. I have nudophobia. I have lizard skin. The more you ask, the less I want to. You're not the boss of me. Nudity makes me vomit. I'm a vampire, so I don't show up in pictures anyways. Your badgering has really killed the mood.
When someone is pressuring you to do something you don't want to, how many ways can you say no before they get the message? Let us know at that'snotcool.com. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always lock it up. For more information on firearms storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
This is a test to find out if you know it all when it comes to children. Name one of the leading killers of U.S. children age 1 to 13. What's the best way to protect children in a car crash? At what age and size should a child start using a booster seat?
Don't assume you know it all when it comes to car seats for your child. Go to safercar.gov/the-right-seat and know for sure. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
I want to be a warm place on a cold day.
Football
I want to be a bike that races around the country.
I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Well,
I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off.
What? What about our plan to win the lottery and start living? You know, travel the world on matching yachts, wear enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacation on the French Riviera, and then buy it.
You know we're never going to win the lottery, right?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
When you get frustrated, I want you to remember to isolate the moment. Rather than thinking it's going to go on and it's a never-ending drama or burden, I want you to tell that moment, tell that frustration in your life, get out of my mind, get out of my heart, because you are better than that. You are a living, full-out person.
You're listening to Living Full Out with Nancy Solari. Nancy is here as a guide to show you how to rise above obstacles and savor each moment. If you have a question, call in live at 800-333-0001. That's 800-333-0001. And now, here's Nancy.
Hello, I am Nancy Solari, and this is the Living Full Out Show. And today we've been talking about frustrations in our life. And I want you all to know that the good news is we can control them. We actually can. We can get support from other people. We can listen to songs that lift our spirits or watch a comedy to switch the mood. But the thing is, the reality is they're going to come daily, weekly, monthly. That's the bad news. But the good news is we have outlets in our life to overcome them. Now, I'm getting word from our producer that we have a caller on the line. We're going to go say hello to them. Hi, welcome to the Living Full Out Show.
Hi, Nancy. My name is Laura.
Hi there. How can we help you today?
Well, I've been feeling a little bit low. I recently graduated, and I know that's something that is supposed to be happy and everything, and I am. But I've been on this job search, and I know my field where I'm supposed to be working, it's a little bit hard to get into. It's more like you really have to start from like a low point to like build your way up, and also a lot of connections. So it's been a little bit hard for me to find a job, and then the more I keep looking and the more I keep being rejected, it just makes me feel very low. It just makes me feel like I'm losing a lot of self-confidence, and then I feel like I'm maybe not capable enough, or like maybe I needed more education, and I start second-guessing myself and doubting myself that I'm capable of like finding the job that I want to find. So,
You know what? I hear you loud and clear, right? It kind of sometimes feels like you're falling and you just want to grab onto something, just something to give you stability, right? So what I want you to consider is this. First of all, can you tell us what is the career choice that you have, what you're going into?
Film and TV.
Film and TV, right? That's pretty competitive, right?
Yeah.
But what I want you to remember is everybody was you at one time, okay? Even though I'm hosting this show, even I freshly graduated at one time going, what is this going to look like, right? Everybody has been there. What I want you to consider doing is I want you to reach out to some people, big personalities and small ones, and I want you to try to build a network of people that can help show you the way, okay? And what I mean by that is I encourage you to go on LinkedIn. That's a great resource, okay? Or even just Google people, professionals in your local area that are doing what you are doing. Now, the reason why I say big personalities and small is because there's going to be people at various levels. But everybody has gone through it. Everybody had to decide. Everybody had a dream. I want to do this. Everybody had to decide a major and get that degree. Everybody had to do an internship. Everybody had to, start at the bottom and make their way up. So when you reach out to these professionals, let's say on LinkedIn, you would just find some people in your local area and send them a message, introduce yourself, and say, could I, take you out to coffee? Could we schedule a call and could we chat? And what you want to find out from them is you want to say, I'm a budding filmmaker. I'm a budding, TV producer, whatever it is that you want to do. and say, you know, I see your success and I'm so in awe of you. Would you be able to spend just 20 minutes with me and just kind of share with me your walk, your journey? You know, because I'd like to hear from you, you know, what mistakes did you make that maybe I can prevent? You know, what do you wish that you had done differently to save yourself time? Do you see that?
Yeah.
And actually,
okay, yeah, that's a good idea.
Right? And the more you network with these people, it's going to give you that stability. It's going to make you feel not so alone, because they're all going to say, you know what? I so remember. I've been there. Don't do this, do that, right? And they're going to give you really great ideas that you can apply. I promise you, start that process today. Okay?
Wow, thank you so much. I really never thought about that, but I think that would be like a really good idea for me to hear more people and their
Absolutely. Journey. And you know what? I have a feeling I'm going to be like, that voice sounds so familiar. And then what? It's going to be Laura. And I'm going to be like, she called in one day. And you're going to be telling, I'm going to hear that as you're grabbing your Oscar, as you're grabbing your Emmy, because you just went up that fast. Believe in the dream.
Thank you.
Believe in what is possible. Okay?
Yes, thank you so much, Nancy.
You're very welcome. Have a great day. And for everybody listening, just like Laura had the frustration of feeling alone and a little bit lost into the direction of how to get started in her career, we've all been there, okay? I have too. So it's all about reaching out to others in your life, getting the support you need. Don't feel like you're alone, because you're not. Nobody gets to the top without, you know, climbing that ladder, right? It's just the way it's done. And so I want you to embrace who you are, the mistakes you've made, and also the wins that you've had, and just know that that is all part of the process. The entire Living Full Out family, we have Rich and Aaron and John and Riley and Raj and so many people that are dedicated to your success. And most of all, we believe in you, that you can live your life full out. We'll be seeing you on the next show. Until then, here's to you living full out.
Thank you for listening to the Living Full Out Show with Nancy Solari. To learn more about this program, visit livingfullout.com for the latest episodes. Connect with the Living Full Out community by following us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you have an inspirational story you want to share, email us at connect@livingfullout.com. Here's to you, living full out.